8 years, and over 8 years of time, you can imagine our experience has changed every year. And I've spent some time in my course trying to improve it every year for 8 years, and I'm sure that happens in all of our classrooms. All teachers feel that way about their course and their class. When we were introduced to Quality Matters, I was very excited because it gave me an opportunity to really check my class and make sure I'm doing the right thing. What I did over those 8 years was look at what my students gave me in feedback to make changes and improvements. And then, of course, what I saw simply didn't work. I said, I need to change this for next year and make it an easier, more fruitful experience for the students. So Quality Matters provided me an opportunity to use a rubric to systematically review my course with the focus on alignment. And alignment in the Quality Matters rubric is critical because it forces one to always review the materials, the methods, the procedures, and make sure that they are aligned to the course objectives.
Supplement and assist our students with additional information where we can reference notes that we have posted there for them, where we can reference where their assignments are and when they're due, where we can reference the assessments that are coming up. And QM has helped us extraordinarily with this because simple things like color coding are assignments, assessments, study guides, so that students have an expectation of what this is simply by looking at an icon or a color-coded heading has really helped in the navigation of our course and helped them to understand what is expected of them and when. Do I have any questions?
Address the needs of our students, the needs of our teachers, and how we can effectively teach online and get our professional development in line with cyber best practices. So we did that through Quality Matters. We found that in school improvement, in our venue, we needed two things. One was that the online instructional delivery, due to its relative newness, 10 years or so, we can't exclusively depend on traditional research from academia. This is what I learned from my teachers. So the things that are best practices that have gone back, 100 years or further. While there are good teaching is good teaching, no matter what venue it is, there are certain aspects in the online learning that we just couldn't rely on traditional research for. And that schools and institutions employing online learning must rely on emerging research and practice-based experiences of instructors and teachers for improvement. So the emerging research, we use Quality Matters, which we've talked about and Carol referenced, and you'll be hearing more about that a little bit later. But also the practice-based experiences of our own educators. And our teachers kept saying to us, what are good teachers in the online venue doing? How can we hear from each other what works in class? So we created a venue within our own school so that teachers could hear and learn from each other what works. And as technology and online pedagogy increases rapidly and changes happen, we need to keep up with that. And these were the two ways that we decided to move in. Just a quick overview of our understanding of Quality Matters. And you may or may not be aware of it. It's primarily used in the higher ed level. About 400 or so colleges and universities use it, based upon research that started with the support of the U.S. Department of Education. Within the last few years, Quality Matters moved into the K-12 area with some partners that we have listed there, nationally recognized partners like ISTE, INACOL, etc., to come up with a rubric for 6 through 12, and we were really excited to be one of the first schools in the country to use that rubric. I have an example of that here. It's a very exhaustive rubric that Carol referenced and Cindy and Lil will reference with annotations that we could check ourselves against a national standard to see how well we're doing and improve our courses ourselves. Those are the 8 general standards with which the Quality Matters rubric covers, and within each of those standards are substandards that need to be met. The teachers look through the standards and rank themselves and others on particular aspects of it to see how their courses are. The venue we created for our teachers to review each other's courses we called Peer Minds of Learning, and what it involved is having 3 teachers work together to review their courses. A teacher would look at their own course using the Quality Matters rubric, and 2 other teachers. And against those standards, do a peer review of each other's courses. We were very fortunate to have the QM rubric this year when we did this, to have this standards-based way of looking at each other's classes. It involves a high level of trust. And in the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, one of our underlying themes has been in the past 2 years, trust. And if you think about it, it's a little scary to have, when a principal or supervisor come into the room a few times a year to evaluate your class. It can be even scarier to have, fellow teachers come in and look and use a rubric. But that's the kind of trust level we have at the school and the camaraderie we have with our teachers, and they were open to this and excited about it. Let's help each other out, and with the end goal of being, how can we learn from each other? And a lot of learning took place through this process that we've gone through this year.
So we can clone Mimi and in the meantime learn how DNA works and all that good stuff. So again, if anybody teaches science, this Learn Genetics site, if you Google it's from Utah University. The University of Utah Learn Genetics. They have so many interactive sites. They can even analyze their own DNA online, so it's really amazing. So I find all these things and incorporate them, and we also recently bought software that allows us to create our own interactives using our own materials, and it's a software called Raptivity. And I don't have any examples right this minute off the top of my head, but it's also easy just to find other resources. So these are just some examples of the high level of engagement and the interaction with the content that the quality standards but I'm a pretty new teacher, even though I don't look like I'm brand new. But I actually had a previous career, and I came into from healthcare, and I came into teaching just about 10 years ago. So I still have that level of excitement of having a new career and having fun things to try and explore. So I try to bring that to my class. And Quality Matters and working with Vincent and Karen really helped a lot. And again, I don't know how to use computers either. I don't know if you can guess from this, but I am a biology teacher, although I've taught other sciences as well. And it's a big eye looking at it, looking at my course. What did QM do for my high school course? The overall goals that have already been talked about with my other colleagues is that the clear instructions is huge to ensure how students navigate the course. And they can be presented in a variety of formats: video, audio, and just nicely, clearly worded instructions. But if a student understands what they need to do, they're going to be more engaged and understand the expectations that we have for them. Like Lil, I did update my class with a virtual tour of my course, and I walked them through where to find the assignments, how to find out how they're going to be assessed, and all of those items. Now, I used a freebie tool called Screenomatic.com. It's a screencasting site where you can shoot your screen for up to 15 minutes. Some of you might be familiar with some other ones that last like 5 minutes, but I always need longer than 5 minutes to explain anything. So the 15-minute window was really good for me, and it walked them through the class. This was a genetics lesson we were doing. But, and it's nice too because it doesn't take up space on our Blackboard server. It's all housed at their website, and it's free and very easy to use. And as Lil mentioned, and Carol, aligning to standards was a big thing, with the objectives and the learning activities and the assessments all aligning to each other, aligning to state standards, aligning to the quality rubric. So the big focus was that the overall course objectives and the overall lesson objectives describe outcomes that are measurable, promote achievement, and they're in language that a student understands. And that the tools and the media support those learning objectives and guide the student to be an active learner. You know, working in a brick and mortar classroom, you have those kids that were actively engaged and discussed and raised their hands and did all that stuff. And we have the same thing in an online environment. We just don't see their little faces, but we hear them. And you know, many of you have used live classroom platforms, and you know, little icons with the hand raising and the laughing at your jokes can go on. But you don't really know for sure what the level of engagement is when they're not looking at you. And through my experience and yours too, you have those other students that just want you to pour it into them. And it's even harder to do that in an online environment because you can't see the face filling. So trying to find ways to engage students and be active learners online is even more challenging in many ways than it is when you have them captive in your classroom, a live classroom. So my big focus has always been, you know, student engagement. So I try to use a lot of interactive content that lets them engage with the media. And when they talk more about the Quality Matters rubric later, and she showed you earlier this morning that there's the engagement of the student with the teacher that's very important. And we achieve that through live classroom and things like that. Then there's engagement with the material. And that's what I really focus on when I build my class. And of course, then there's also student-student engagement, which we can achieve through discussion boards and live classroom and blogs and things. Policies folder have all the information that a new student or another student that needs to review how to be successful in the class. Their biology class tour, how they're going to be assessed. Now, I just recently redid this.
And we highly recommend it. We're only just beginning the process, but we've made a lot of advancements in this past year. If you have any questions about our program, you can talk to our teachers. If you think that you have a student or friend that would be interested in being enrolled in PA Learners Online, Tara Rush, our admissions person, is in the back corner there. Would also like to do a little shout out to our other friends at the AIU that are here. The Allegheny Intermediate Unit provides a variety of services to districts and schools across Allegheny County, even beyond. And you may be familiar with Kevin Connor and Jana Baxter here, both in liturgical purple. They go out to schools to help with technology integration. And also very excitedly, we have the new program at the intermediate unit called Waterfront Learning. And it provides cyber solutions to districts that may not want to do that on their own. And it's a great service. I would behoove you to stop before you leave and talk to Denise Dichek and Jennifer Began, who are heading that initiative up. Thanks so much for your time.